This episode is brought to you by Accenture. When your advertising operations fall out of sync, everything else follows. Spotify and Accenture are working together to reinvent the rhythm of ad sales, using automation, analytics, and smarter workflows to simplify campaign delivery and access better data across the business. The result? Less time spent on operations, more time connecting brands with the moments and fandoms that matter most. Learn more at accenture.com/Spotify.
The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire, the no-show. Who set you back because they didn't show up on day one, or day two, or ever again. And now your product launch is delayed because you're talking to alien abduction podcasters to track them down. But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can help make sure your next hire sticks. In fact, businesses who use LinkedIn are 24% less likely to reopen a role in the next 12 months. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
This podcast is part of the Robots Radio Rocket Club, a program designed to help all podcasts reach their full potential. For information about joining the Robots Radio Rocket Club, check out robotsradio.net.
Welcome to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends, where we're going to take a deep dive into the lore of the Star Wars universe.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Holocron Histories podcast. As you know, or may not know, I am Austin, also known as Teacup. I am one of the hosts of this podcast. I'm here with my other co-host,
Ben of Temeria.
Yeah. All right. So, Ben, we're still doing this kind of like faction government thing with the universe, but we've kind of done all the governments, really. Moving away. Yeah,
we got the major governments out of the way, like the major main factions that you see in most conflicts. Now we're going to get into some of the smaller factions. So starting today, we are going to be going over the Bounty Hunter Guild, which everybody knows bounty hunters now, thanks to the Mandalorian, because you know he's all of our favorite bounty hunter besides Boba Fett. And then going forward, we're going to be going a little bit more into the smaller guilds, or of like some crime syndicates, some of the cartels and stuff like that going forward.
Yeah. Bounty hunters, I think, are something that are almost like as married to Star Wars as the lightsaber is.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And because I remember the first time I ever heard bounty hunters is in that scene in Empire when they're introducing them, and you have the slew of bounty hunters with Bosk and Dengar and obviously Boba Fett, and that one Imperial agent just goes, "Bounty hunters, we don't need their scum."
Right, yes. And we will go over that a little bit actually today on this episode in the canon part. I'm pretty sure I have that noted down from that scene. But yeah, as you'll find out later, a lot of the Empire do not like bounty hunters. And there's a reason for it.
Interesting.
Right? So yeah, let's start with the legends part of the bounty hunters. So bounty hunters start off like as a summary. Rogue bounty hunters come into conflict with Jedi Knights more and more often, leading to increasing numbers of deaths. So this is before, obviously, the prequel films. This is like during the Old Republic era of Star Wars. So the Jedi Order requested the Galactic Senate address the matter. The Senate decided that the best way to regulate the hunters was for the bounty hunters to police themselves. The hunters were allowed to form governing bodies, providing that they were adhered to bylaws and create personal records, leading to the creation of many guilds. Soon these guilds formed together, creating one overarching group, the Bounty Hunters Guild. The four founders has a vision of uniting bounty hunters, training apprentices, and encouraging the cooperation with the Jedi Order and with each other. So, just from that, before there was a guild, bounty hunters literally were lawless cowboy men, basically, in the galaxy, doing whatever they please, and 9 times out of 10 were fighting Jedi because they were doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing.
Right. And I think that bounty hunters, they're kind of like Sloane in like the bad guy side of Star Wars, but they're really just around for organizations to hire when they need to track down a criminal or someone who has a bounty or a price on their head, which is not always justified, but we have seen some good bounty hunters like the Mando, or there are a couple bounty hunters in, I think, that episode of Clone Wars where they're on the like planet with it's like a farmer and they have to defend the farmstead from Hondo.
Oh, yep. Yeah, I remember that. I can't remember what bounty hunter, what it was, who that was.
Well, the guy with the hat that he throws is in there. Embo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So, now we get to during the old Sith Wars. So this is during, the Old Republic era still. During the old Sith Wars, many hunters ceased to follow the creed, giving in to dark, desperate moods at times. With the Jedi nearly extinct, Goto, leader of the Exchange on Nar Shaddaa, put out a bounty in hope that the guild's members would bring them alive. However, many thought of this as a decree to destroy Jedi and attempt to kill known survivors. Members of the guild on Nar Shaddaa turn on each other in eagerness to capture Matra Surik. Vosk, the leader of the guild, was one of those few loyal to the creed. So, this gets into the events also of KOTOR 2. So, Matrix Surik is actually the name in Legends for the Jedi Exile in KOTOR 2. And Goto is the most non-useful companion you will ever get in that game. So, there's that too. You're muted.
There we go. It's so frustrating because he has such an interesting story if you really like dive into what Goto is. So it's unfortunate that he is useless because, I mean, it's not like he's a bad concept. He just is compared to the other 2 droids that you get in KOTOR. Like if you wanted another droid companion, if you wanted droid companions, there are 2 far superior options than Goto.
Yeah, I mean, you have T3 and then HK. Goto is basically, like, if people don't know, Goto is just basically a giant sphere probe droid, basically. But no one uses him. Ever.
But it's an interesting thing because this is a big deal that happens. So when you're in KOTOR 2, and here's some spoiler warnings, basically when you arrive on Nar Shaddaa, basically all the bounty hunters are like, oh my gosh, we can get this bounty, we can turn it in, it'll be awesome. And they start going against each other, which breaks the bounty hunter truce, which basically causes an all-out war on Nar Shaddaa. And so this is kind of like where that guild comes in. The guild regulated the bounty hunters from turning on each other. And then that kind of breaking of the truce on Nar Shaddaa gets there. And then you see this, like, this kind of morality comes later on, all the way to Mando when they're going in the first episode of Mando. When Mando comes across IG-11, he's basically like, I'm a member of the guild, don't shoot me. Like,
right.
There's a truce that exists there. And on Nar Shaddaa, it means to get this Jedi, the truce breaks. And yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah. So, now, now we get to the Golden Age of the Republic. So a few years after 900 BBY, so this is way later after the Old Republic stuff. So this is like thousands of years after Old Republic. A human-only faction was created, forming a schism in the guild. They invaded Mandalorian territory, and the Mandalorians retaliated by exploding the location of their first meeting, a space station at Elixir, killing them all. This pushed the guild to recruit members of many different species to prove that the guild was not a speciesist. Even droids were allowed to join. So, there's definitely different stuff going on. Why can't I get rid of this? Oh no, my notes. There we go. Alright, and then, so then, 700 years later after that, in 200 BBY, the Mandalorians won a war against the Ithorians, then proceeded to exterminate the entire Ithorian species. The Jedi Council failed to take action against the Mandalorians, so a number of rogue Jedi teamed up with the Bounty Hunter Guild to take down the ruling Mandalore. So, there's another reason that Mandalorians are warmongers and like to fight and do crazy things. And Ithorians are kind of hard to explain. If you ever go to Galaxy's Edge, Doc Ondar, if you go ever into his Den of Antiquities, you will see Doc Ondar in his shop, and he's an Ithorian. So, following the departure from the Coloran system in 53 BBY, the Hutt crime lord Rigboga placed a bounty on the Grand Nodin Paul, which could only be collected if Paul was ever left the Corellian system. The Bounty Hunter Guild sent some of his minions to the system prior to Paul's movements. They never knew where he left. I can't remember who Grand Nodin Paul was.
So a Gran, well, I can't remember. There's a species of like weird bug insect things in KOTOR 2 that all hang out as a clan in Nar Shaddaa. And so I want to know if that's the same species. No. So a Gran is, so it's the aliens that have like the weird antenna off the top, and then they have like 3 eyes that stick out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Here, I'm gonna find it so everyone can see.
Okay, yeah. Grand, okay, a Gran is, the, oh god, what's his, there are some in the Old Republic, I'm trying to think, I know you see these guys in Clone Wars, just can't remember any well-known ones in Clone Wars. But yeah, they put, a Hutt, obviously, puts a bounty on him, and it didn't work out in this, like, at all. And then, the Maverick Jedi, John, Antelides, former apprentice of the Dark Woman, infiltrated the guild prior to the Clone Wars, bringing many murderers to justice. So, a Jedi went undercover in the Bounty Hunter Guild, which is cool. So, then that leads into the Clone Wars. During the Clone Wars, the Crimson Nova chapter, under the leadership of Mika, sanctioned a bounty on a Jedi offered by Karis Finn. This was a direct contradiction to the history of the guild's alliance with the Republic. Mika, crazed by her hatred of Jedi, refused to end the bounty when Mace Windu, Ancient Kolar, Sais 10, and Kit Fisto arrived on the space station. The Jedi capture Mika, and Stroth, former leader of the chapter, took over and agreed to end the bounty and turn over Coruscant to the Republic. So, not really, I mean, so with the Bounty Hunter Guild, and as you can tell from the info I'm getting, there's a lot in Legends, but it's, I would say it's getting a lot more development with canon, since we have the Mandalorian going forward, and we have a lot of the Boba Fett comics. And there's actually a comic line specifically for bounty hunters right now. That's an ongoing issues.
Yeah, I think that it's just something that will always continue to be developed. And the Jedi aren't unknown to use bounty hunters for their own purposes too. And that's really kind of where we get into like the bounty hunters kind of walk this like in between like good and bad guys.
They're very gray. They're like in the middle, unless like credits are put their way, and then they go forever. Who has the most money.
So in the game Galaxy of Heroes, the bounty hunter faction is it's well fleshed out in that, but they frustrate me because, so obviously both Fets are in the bounty hunter faction, as they should be, but they gave Jango separatist affiliation. He's not a separatist. If you're going to give Jango the separatist affiliation, Boba should have the Empire one, and he does not.
Oh, Boba. I had Boba in that game, and I haven't even looked at him. He's like one of my highest level characters, too.
But that's like,
that's interesting. Like, I mean, I see why they put separatists, but like...
But like, also, Jango is the template for all the clones, so he could be Galactic Republic, too.
That is true. That is very true. Ooh. So now we get to the Galactic Civil War. So this is the area of the original trilogy, 4, 5, 6. The guild itself survived under the leadership of the Trandoshan Kradrosk, father of Bosk, where it acted as a formal allied holding to the Empire. According to the official field manual for the Imperial Forces, the Imperial Handbook, A Commander's Guide, the reason for this working relationship was because of the belief among bounty hunters that the highest bid makes the rules. This continued until around 1 ABY, when it was destroyed through the manipulation of Boba Fett. The plan itself was the work of Prince Zior, who enlisted Kudar Mubat as a middleman between himself and Fett. So that I did not know Bosk's father actually led the Bounty Hunter Guild. That's interesting. For one, I didn't know Bosk had a father that was, not dead.
I have a question, and this is never clear to me. But so the episode in Clone Wars, I believe it's called Lost Padawan. It's where Ahsoka gets kidnapped by the Trandoshan hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Bosk's family? It was never clear. They made weird allusions to it, and then obviously Chewie was there.
I think so. I would have to re-watch that. I don't know, they do a lot of nods. I mean, Trandoshans, there's a lot of Trandoshans in Star Wars, but obviously the most well-known Trandoshan is Bosk. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a connection between the two. And especially if Chewie's there.
Yeah, he's in other episodes of the Clone Wars, especially the ones surrounding Boba.
And Cad Bane and all that.
Yeah. I was just curious if you knew, because I didn't.
I don't remember on the top of my head, no. But Fett, who was known for his disdain for the Guild, joined it, tearing it into two factions, the True Guild and the Guild Reform Committee. The True Guild was composed of the elders who would run the guild and reap the profits, igniting the resentment of the younger bounty-earning members who formed the Guild Reform Committee. This manipulation resulted in the Bounty Hunter Wars. The weak hunters were crushed, leaving only the strong to be hired by the Empire. During the conflict, Bosk killed and devoured his father. And it's interesting where they use the word devoured. I'm pretty sure that meant Bosk ate his own father. I mean, they are lizards, but like, what
do
the
lizards
heck?
Do lizards eat their members? Like, I don't know enough about lizards.
I don't know much about lizards. I think some reptiles do, but I don't quote me on that. I don't know much about lizard biology or anything in that. But yeah, that's interesting. It's like, oh, I can understand killing his father, but like eating him? Like, I don't know if it's something to do with the Great Hunt that the Trandoshans believe in, to where they like serve the Hunt Master, and like every kill they get gives them a new puts up on their score to have a better life after they die. I don't know, but in the aftermath of the Bounty Hunter Wars, only Dengar, Bosk, and several others were left alive. Boba Fett and Dengar once teamed up to capture Han Solo, but failed, making the end of their partnership. Bosk eventually retired. Zuckuss and 4-LOM split up and hunted fewer and fewer bounties. And then later during the war, the same belief about the highest bid making the rules was ultimately what resulted in the guild siding with the rebels. That's interesting. I did not know the guild started siding with the Rebel Alliance.
Well, yeah, and I think that there's in Legends, or like the Empire greatly favors Boba Fett. And like he's a great bounty hunter and extremely talented, but they greatly favor him, and the other bounty hunters kind of start getting basically ticked off about it. And so
yeah, they definitely showed favoritism to Boba. I mean, he was a clone of Jango, who the clones were the Grand Army of the Republic, and then who ultimately took down how many battle droids during the Clone Wars. And then secondly, like, just his skill alone, like, we see him in Empire to track down Luke, and track down Han specifically, succeeds in carbonizing him, and then that's a whole nother story I just found out recently. But then we see him, if you play a bunch of games, he's also shows up in Star Wars Force Unleashed 2, where Darth Vader makes him track down Starkiller. Like, he's in so much stuff.
Right, and it comes down to, like, of course the Bounty Hunters Guild is going to side with the Rebellion because they thrive when there's not a lot of people interfering with what they're doing. And with the Empire wants to control everything. So they would want the Bounty Hunters basically to be like the Inquisitors for them. People they can just send willy-nilly to do whatever they want. And the Bounty Hunter Guild does not want to operate like that.
Right. Yep. And then, so now we get to the Second Imperial Civil War. So this is way later, after the original trilogy. So this is by 137 ABY. The guild remained active. It had been words are hard today, I swear. Infiltrated by Aslan Ray, a former Padawan and undercover member of the Imperial Knights. Black Sun assassin Ku Vrat had been a member of the guild until he was expelled by Infern with other hunters' bounties. And that's it. Like, that's all there was really in Second Imperial Civil War, there wasn't really anything. It's like, okay, a Padawan went undercover, and then a Black Sun assassin was a member of the guild. And the Black Suns were a big assassin guild.
It's always interesting to me because, like, at least Star Wars isn't clear on the thing that certain crime syndicates, like, basically have bounty hunters on retainer. Like, Boba Fett is almost, like, always in the employ of Jabba the Hutt or the Empire. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, other bounty hunters might have allegiance to other crime syndicates or whatever. Like, Chrysanthemum is obviously first in the ploy of the Hutt cartel, and then later freely joins Boba Fett.
Right. Yep. But yeah, that's what we got in Legends. So, we want to take our mid-show break?
Yeah, let's do that.
Hi, Ryan Reynolds here for Mint Mobile. Are you looking for a beach read this summer? May I suggest your big wireless bill? It's got suspense, mystery, a slightly flat, emotional arc, and a shocking twist where you realize you've been overpaying the entire time. Fortunately, though, Mint's story is better. Every plan, $15 a month. Even unlimited. That's it. Happy ending. Zero tears.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. See terms.
I didn't jump the gun this week.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I noticed.
All right. Well, welcome to the middle of the show where we talk about all things that don't have to do with Legends versus canons, or canon in Star Wars. And so, yeah, this is where we take time to let you know that if you would like to support us financially, we do have a Patreon. You can find that link by going to Patreon/Holocron Histories, or the link will be in the episode description if you listen to this not live. So yeah, there are different tiers that you can join that give different benefits, from just the basic tier, which will give you ad-free episodes, and all the way up to coming up on the show with us and getting your name read out on every single episode.
Yeah, and like our next Patreon episode, we did decide we are going to go over the Obi-Wan series, since the final episode will be that week. So, yes. Super exciting.
I will be in Disney.
Yeah, you'll be taking Austin will be taking a trip to Batuu, so it sucks that he won't be here, but hey, Galaxy's Edge. We all understand.
All right. Another great way to support the podcast is to leave us ratings or reviews. You can rate us on Spotify or leave us reviews on Apple. If you leave us a 5-star review, we will read your review out on a later episode of the show. And Ben, today we have 2 reviews to read.
We have 2?
Yeah.
I saw 1. What?
I got 2.
Okay.
All right. This says, this review comes from Hasselhoff, and it says, a worthy recognition in the Jedi archives. And Hasselhoff says, excellent podcast. The 2 hosts know many secrets of the Force, able to simplify the complex Legends and Canon's lore and show how they are similar and different. If you have ever wondered where all the lore for Star Wars comes from, give this podcast a listen to. Thank you, Hasselhoff.
Thank you so much, Hasselhoff.
Yes. And our next review comes from Revan's Mask. It says, you've taken your first step into a larger world. 5-star. Binge through every episode today and loved them all. Thank you for making it easier to see the difference between Legends and canon, and for reminding me of how many great Star Wars properties there are outside of the films and TV shows. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, big thank you for everybody putting reviews on Apple and rating us on Spotify. It really, really helps us. And I did check, Austin. We are ranked are in the top 250 TV and film podcasts in South Africa.
Woohoo! Go South Africa.
Right?
All right. Also let you know, if you want to come and hang out with us, talk with us, chat with us about Star Wars, there are great places to do that, two of which are either the Robots Radio Discord, where you can find us in our Holocron Histories channels. We're both Teacup92 and Ben of Temeria there. Or you could join the Cups Podcasting More server, which is the server for the podcast that I am a host on. The Dragon Age Lorecast, the Assassin's Creed Lorecast, and this podcast. We are also Teacup92 and Ben of Temeria on that server. So yeah, you can join us there.
It's always a good time.
Mm-hmm. Yes, always a good time. All right. Are you ready to get back into it?
We are. All right.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Listening to this podcast instead of doom scrolling? Smart move. Another smart move? Getting help from one of State Farm's 19,000 local agents when you choose to bundle home and auto. Bundling, just another way to save with the Personal Price Plan. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This summer, say I do.
I am marrying a stranger.
Like never before.
Am I crazy?
It's a whole new Married at First Sight on Peacock.
Thank God I woke up in love.
With new experts.
My name is Dr. Lisa.
My name is Paul Brunson.
More couples.
This could be the start of a very successful marriage.
And more surprises.
Or maybe not.
Everything is just not enough.
You're a little bit crazy.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
I want my fairy tale ending.
Married at First Sight, now streaming. New episodes Thursdays, only on Peacock.
All right, now that we're back, we get to go into the canon of stuff to where there's a bit more info. So there's not much anything, obviously, in the Old Republic era, because none of that is really canon at all as of yet for Star Wars. So we have in the Clone Wars, Bosk, a Trandoshan known for hunting Wookiees, was a member of the Bounty Hunters Guild during the Clone Wars. Such information was known to the Jedi Master Quinlan Vos, who specialized in undercover operations. So, I didn't put a whole lot in Clone Wars because you can actually watch a lot of this stuff in the Clone Wars animation show. And also, you can watch stuff in Rebels as well with Bounty Hunters. But, like as we were saying earlier in the show, there's a lot of episodes that deals with Boba Fett when he's like younger, as a teenager growing up, after Attack of the Clones, which we all know he loses his father. And then we also see Cad Bane, who did make a recent appearance in the Book of Boba chapter of The Mandalorian, to where you see him during the Clone Wars as well, with a bunch of other well-known bounty hunters, such as like IG-88, Bosk. I'm trying to think there's a bunch of different ones.
In the Clone Wars?
Oh yeah. There's a bunch of bounty hunters.
You got Aura Singh, you have Dengar, Embo. There's a lot of them.
Right?
Yes.
I mean, there's like a bounty hunter arc in the Clone Wars, specifically with Cad Bane.
Right. Sadly, Maul kind of he does his things to the bounty hunter.
Yeah, he does.
Which is interesting to like talk about the Clone Wars. So Maul, as we know, if you've watched the Clone Wars, Maul in his arc creates the Shadow Collective or whatever. I think that's believes what it's called.
Yeah, Shadow
Collective. He creates,
which
is a bunch of different crime syndicates that report to him. The Death Watch, the Pike Syndicate. At one point, he gets the Hutt Cartel involved, and what later evolves into the Crimson Dawn. All come under Maul. but he doesn't get the Bounty Hunters Guild.
No.
Which
No.
I just found interesting.
Yeah, with that, to me, I think is because the bounty hunters want to stay independent and be in charge of themselves without having to report to a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Because,
but also
they want to have a little bit more freedom when it comes to their jobs.
I think it's also important. The Bounty Hunters Guild is a public face.
True.
Whereas, the Hutt cartels are also kind of a public face because they control their own worlds and the Pike Syndicate. But the rest of them are just kind of like
in the shadow behind the scenes.
Right. You hear random things about them existing, but you don't ever interact with them really. Mm-hmm. Whereas most people might interact with a bounty hunter or see someone from the Bounty Hunters Guild in the Star Wars universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Austin was saying, the Bounty Hunter Guild was a legalized thing by the Senate of the Republic. It was a legitimate organization in the face. Yeah, there was some shady stuff that happens, but it was a legitimate business that people could hire bounty hunters to do whatever tasks they need to be done.
And as long as you had the credits, it's what would happen.
Yeah. As long as they get paid, they get paid. That's all that matters.
And we'll talk about this probably later, but there is this big code that exists in the bounty hunters, which I think one of the reasons that Boba Fett kind of isn't liked by the bounty hunters is because he kind of shirks the code a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get into the Imperial era. So in the Imperial era, the Bounty Hunters Guild was allowed to issue Imperial peacekeeping certificates to their bounty hunters, allowing them to access the Imperial Enforcement Data Core. Guild member Bosk took on bounties in Imperial territory with one hunt involving partnership with a street orphan named Ezra Brizzer. That resulted in the Imperial Holonet News reporting of the Guild members' courageous actions, publicizing Bosk as a hero of justice. And this was in a book called Ezra's Gamble. Ezra's Gamble. So, obviously everybody knows Ezra from Rebels. This is his time before Rebels, when he was still a street orphan on the streets of Lothal, trying to survive, and he did something that caught the attention of some high Imperial officer, and they hired, a bounty hunter to try to take care of him. Obviously, Ezra gets away, but yeah. Ezra was still making mischief before he met the Spectres.
Always.
So, during the Galactic Civil War, Alliance intelligence agent Cassian Jenin Ondor gave an assignment of the Guild to General Daptis Draven in the Rebel files. In search of the Allies, the Rebel Alliance found that through a Rebel agent in the Guild, sentiment was trending negative amongst hunters regarding the Rebel Alliance, and as the Empire made greater use of the Guild services against the rebellion, Ondor reported in conclusion that Kradosk is making a killing, and that the Alliance should seek other factions for support in their fight for freedom. And Kradosk is the father of Bosk. So here's that'll be another thing that we will see maybe in the future. Because Cassian Andor is, we know him from Rogue One, but he is going to get his own series here starting August 31st. And we do know that will be 2 seasons, thanks to Celebrations.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's hard to think about anything other than Kenobi right now.
Oh, I know. Oh, yes. But after being discharged from Imperial service, Valorant became a bounty hunter and began stealing bounties from members of the Guild, breaking the bounty hunter code. Zorn, a member of the Guild, attempted to confront him along with several other bounty hunters over the stolen bounties. Valance, who had in fact lured them there, proceeded to kill them. So that's just another bounty hunter in the Guild killing other bounty hunters, which does go against the code, which we'll go over. In the aftermath of the Battle of Hoth, Darth Vader personally posted a bounty on the Millennium Falcon, a rebel vessel attracting the guild hunters Mosk, Dendakar, Boba Fett, IG-88, Forlom, and Zuckuss, all for whom invited into the Imperial Superstar Destroyer Executor's Bridge, the leader of Vader's personal starfleet. Admiral Firmus Pite expressed his aversion to the Empire's employment of the guild hunters, declaring them as scum to a subordinate while on duty aboard the Executor's Bridge, which, as Austin said earlier, and we were talking about earlier in the show, the Imperials don't like, or Vader's the only one that really like employs bounty hunters. Most Imperial officers don't like bounty hunters because they want to do their own jobs themselves, basically.
Right. Well, here's the thing about that, Piet. If I was Admiral to Lord Vader, I'd be happy for bounty hunters to take the job because that means that they failed when they don't catch them, and they're the ones that get force choked and not me.
Exactly. Right? So you don't have to worry about, dying or worrying about your life every single day while you're trying to track down a rebel ship.
Yeah. Anyway.
So now we get into the New Republic era. So this is after the original trilogy, going into Mando. Following the Empire's major defeat in the Battle of Endor in 4 ABY, the Rebel Alliance reformed into the New Republic. Believing the bounty hunter trade was now under threat thanks to the new government, Dengar wanted to form a proper bounty hunter union. His prediction began to come true in 5 ABY in the aftermath of the attack on Trindilla, as the New Republic, trying to make sure its security forces looked strong, stopped hiring bounty hunters. Later that year, the Empire fell in the Battle of Jakku. By around 9 ABY, the Bounty Hunters Guild had operations on the volcanic world of Navarro and are no longer operating on Tatooine. A disgraced magistrate named Grief Karga ran the operations from the cantina in the city. So that's where that's where basically Mando starts. So Dengar started all that, which is interesting. And then basically have Griff run the show.
Yeah. It also makes sense that, they would be concerned about their continuation because so much has changed with they spend most of their time with the Republic in one form or the other, whether it changes that. And then the Empire comes along and things start getting a little stricter. And then this new government is coming on. It's like, well, okay, basically the entity that we made our deal with no longer exists anymore. So what's happening?
Right. Yeah. So, around 9 ABY, all the bounty hunters operating from Navarro were hired by a member of the Imperial Regiment known as the Client to capture or kill a target known as the Asset. The Asset was being held by a company of the Nikto mercenaries at their encampment on Arvala 7. 2 guild members, the droid IG-11, and a Mandalorian named Din Djarin arrived in the encampment and killed the mercenaries. The pair discovered that the Asset was an infant of the same species as Jedi Grandmaster Yoda. Although the Mandalorian wanted to extract the child alive, IG-11 intended to kill it, so Mando, I'm just going to call him Mando, shot him in the head to protect the child. So, as you can see, this is straight up the events of Mandalorian, Season 1. And then by the time of the Resistance, the Bounty Hunters Guild was reformed into Organization Resistance. Vice Admiral Amelin Holdo saw the potential partner against the First Order, an Imperial regiment with strong ideological beliefs that the fellow resistant members Kalun Imat speculated to be the reason behind the Order's reluctant to do business with the Guild. With reservations, Amet agreed with Holdo's comment and the Rebel Files that the Resistance could form a successful partnership with the Guild. So the Rebel Files, as I mentioned multiple times during this episode, is a Legends and canon book that you can buy, specifically going over different stuff with the Rebel Alliance. There's also like an Empire book. There's a Smuggler book. There is the book that is literally called the Bounty Hunter's Code, which specifically goes over a bunch of the Bounty Hunter stuff.
Yeah, it's in the same kind of line of streams. If you've read like the Jedi Path or the Sith, I think it's
the Book of the Sith. It's literally right in front of my face.
Yeah, it's all in the same kind of.
It's made by
genre.
this. I think it's actually written by the same guys who did those 2 books. So decades prior to the Empire's defeat at the Battle of Endor, the former guild hunter Celino Chandro eventually left the organization. He gained a reputation for capturing Imperial refugees. This reputation had left the former guild hunter paranoid of First Order reprisals. I think that's how you say that word. Although Chandro heeded the resistance call for assistance over Exegol and aided the destruction of the Sith Order. So, yeah, that is the New Republic era. Now I'm gonna get into a little bit of how the Order worked, or the Guild worked. Let's see how much time I have. I can run through this real fast. So with the Guild, Bounty Hunter Guild, make it legalized during the time of the Galactic Empire. Or Galactic Republic and its successor, the Galactic Empire, proper certification was required in the bounty hunter profession to ensure the legally the processing involved specifically the handling of wanted, quarry, and delivery of a posted bounty by the issuing authority. Working alongside galactic governments, the Bounty Hunters Guild, abbreviated to BHG, expedited much of the bureaucrat hassle required to obtain necessary legal permits for guild members, allowing them to hunt across the galaxy with an official license. In the Imperial era, the Imperial Office of Criminal Investigations had an entire branch dedicated to working with the guild, and wealthy moffs were willing to pay hunters to handle their issues. So, another thing, that bounty hunters like money, and the Empire had plenty of credits to spend. So, now, like guild hubs, so we do know the guild hub on Navarro in the Mandalorian. Let's see, there was also the Empire preferred to pay hunters through transfers, register instead of hard currency, and after a successful hunt, the guild members could be paid directly into their accounts by the guild agent although the Twi'lek offered to deduct from a Boba Fett's payout on a special deal on the Jorgon Spa, which she thought thought the hunter deserved. Bounties at guild hubs were identified through holograms. Beside the bar, larger bounties were advertised on posters, such as the case for the quarry of Zingo Gabnet, and whose the routine agent provided additional information on Fett. So, we see this in Mandalorian, actually, I think, too.
Yeah. Where they have the little pucks or whatever.
That bounty pucks, they're transferring to accounts, except for the client who specifically gave Mando Beskar. Which, obviously, he knew he wanted Beskar because Mando is a Mando.
Right. It's also interesting, you'll see that, like, at some point, bounty hunters have, like, a connection to some kind of network, especially if you've seen in a recent episode of a current show out there, when a certain bounty goes out, like, they're all notified at once.
Yes. If there's a high priority target, they're all notified. And go watch that new show. It's great.
Yeah. Which we see that in Mando too, like when Mando takes the kid and breaks into the clients, takes Grogu, takes Grogu right here. The bounty hunters know almost right away.
Yes.
To like come and like look for him.
Yep. And we get that awesome fight scene when Mando's leaving with all the other Mandos coming to help him. That was epic.
Yes.
So then there's the membership. Bounty Hunter Guild memberships were composed of bounty hunters of various species as well as of independent droid models. In addition to recruiting hunters, Guild employed the services of bail bondsmen, individuals who brokered bounties with hunters, serving as the intermediary between the hunters and the client. A bondsman offered jobs and paid out upon a successful hunt. So there's a middleman. The guild hire middlemen so the clients aren't more or less endangered, basically. And while the hunter still gets paid.
Yeah.
Or if the hunter gets mad, they can kill the middleman.
Right. Which comes to a good point of like Mando meeting with the client. That's rare in the Bounty Hunter Guild.
Yes. Yeah.
Normally they're just given a bounty and they come and they deliver. There's like a middleman they deliver to the guild. Kind of like we see at the beginning of Mando where he brings all the people frozen in carbonite to Grief Karga. And he's like, okay, well, here you go.
And like we see like Grief gives him a puck. Gives him a bounty buck. Here's your next bounty that you can go after. Grief is being the middleman between him and the client. And then bounty hunter droids were also very ideal, specifically the IG models, because they could carry Bacta, they could they can smuggle themselves onto ships and platforms or disguise, like they're droids. No one's going to, like, people will be like curious and wonder why there's a droid with a, like, you know, an E11 blaster rifle, but like other than that, like, it's a droid. He doesn't even need a weapon.
Right. Well, and you look at this in Clone Wars when you see like the IG, I think it's 85 or something like that, or maybe 86.
That's 88. That's IG-88 in Clone Wars.
Well, no, the bounty hunter, but the series of IG units.
Oh, the series, yeah.
See them. I think the ones that are like before him are like 85 or something like that. They like can compartmentalize, like can shrink themselves down to really small, and they're like hidden on ships. And like you can activate them really quickly, but they don't take up a lot of space. Whereas like something like a super battle droid is going to take up more space.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll really go over is going to be the code, because we did talk about the code a lot. Members of the guild were mandated to uphold the Bounty Hunter Code, which forbade members to slay another guild hunter or steal another hunter's bounty. The code also forbade hunters from asking about their bounties once delivered, requiring the events that transpire between the time of accepting and delivering the bounty be immediately forgotten. Additionally, when the guild assigned one of its members to pursue the subject of a government bounty, only that particular hunter was authorized to go after that particular acquisition. Although such restrictions were guild policy, Barrett Valence was a guild member who was known for flaunting the code, while the guild's bureaucracy held members in check over policies. The Unbroken Clan criminal syndicates, General Vukora, had the ability to circumvent the bureaucracy by means of credits. So, that's the code. To simplify all that, basically, the code says you can't kill another member, you can't take another member's contract, and you cannot talk about your contract once it's delivered. Basically, I don't know what the word I'm looking for.
Well, here's an example. If, say, a certain Grand Moff hires you to eliminate another Moff, and they take the contract and you do it and you do all that, you can't, it's against the Bounty Hunter's Code to then go say, hey, Grand Moff Tarkin hired me to kill this other Moff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then once you complete a job, you don't talk about that job. because then you can also, make enemies out of yourself by flaunting, hey, I took down this target. Oh, hey, I took down this. Now, there are obviously some bounties that obviously will be publicly, like Han Solo. Everybody knew Boba took him down. It was common knowledge that who took down Han Solo. And then in a future episode, once we do go over the Crimson Dawn, there surprisingly I did have brand new info I did not even know about, and it's specifically from the comics. There's a lot of info about Han's time when he was in Carbonite. Like,
that's interesting.
There was just kind of like give a word for it. There was a war that basically happened between different crime syndicates, specifically over Han's Carbonite.
On who got to keep it.
Correct. Yeah. It's a variant I did not know about. It's in the. If anybody wants to start reading that stuff, it's in the. I want to say it's in the Star Wars Bounty Hunters Marvel comics that's going on, right? It's currently new issues coming out. It's like issues 50 something, I think, at this point. There's so many issues, or it might be part of the Crimson Dawn issues they did. But
it's a bold move to go against Jabba the Hutt like that. Like, the man has literally been around since before the Clone Wars.
Funny enough, a lot of Star Wars characters have.
But he was a top tier crime lord before the Clone Wars.
Oh yeah, we see him in Episode 1. He's running Tatooine at that time. Then, all the way up to Return of the Jedi, he's running. That's what. God, how many is that? Like 50 years almost. 40 years? Yeah. 40 years?
That we see. And I'm sure if we researched it, we'd find out he lived a lot longer. I know Hutts are a long-lived species.
Hutts are a very long-lived species.
But yeah, we'll get to the Hutt cartel one day.
Yes. That's our next episode will be the Hutt cartel. Woo-hoo. So we get to learn all about our favorite Hutt, or not favorite Hutt, Jabba, or, all of our other non-favorite Hutts. What was the Hutt in Clone Wars?
Zero the Hutt?
Zero. I hated Zero so much. But yeah, that's what we got for this episode.
All right. You got nothing else about the Bounty Hunters?
No, that's what we got for Bounty Hunters. Just stay tuned, honestly, for Mando Season 3, which is said to drop in February of next year. But that's really it that we know of right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
And then may the Force be with you. Thank you for listening to Holocron Histories, Star Wars Canon versus Legends. You can find us on the Robots Radio Discord at robotsradio.net. You can also follow us on Twitter at SWHoloHistories and contact us at holocronhistories@gmail.com. All right.
Thanks for all of you who stuck around and viewed. I have to go and cook dinner now. Or eat dinner. My wife cooked dinner.
Ooh. Fun. And I will be going off here to... I might be, for anybody who's still watching, I might stream some Elder Scrolls Online on my own Twitch account at Ben of Temeria, maybe later. I have a new PC set up with 2 screens, so I can actually, stream and watch my actual stream on my other monitor, which is fantastic. So
yeah, that's nice. All right.
So
I'll see you all later.
Have a nice one, everybody.